Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome back onto the podcast. Or if you're new here, hi. So good to have you here. My name is Sammy. This is the Relationship Rehab Podcast, where we dive into all things relationship, dating, breakups, love, attachment styles, and everything in between. So today's episode is going off of a couple of posts that I put on my social media last week, all about sabotage, and it just so coincides. These synchronicities are never coincidences, where I have a client right now going through sabotaging behavior in her relationship. So this is a very prominent theme that is coming up for a lot of us recently. So I got asked by someone in my DMs asking if I could just elaborate on the things that I was sharing on my Instagram about subconscious sabotage. So here I am making a whole episode about it. So you are here because either you are noticing self-sabotaging behavior from yourself, or you have a partner who is sabotaging the relationship. And here's the thing about sabotage. We don't want to cause drama in our relationships. We want peace and harmony and freedom and safety. Every human does. But subconsciously, we are all holding on to beliefs, old patterns, behaviors, and conditioning that is blocking us, that is now getting in the way from us being able to come together and relate in a healthy, secure way. And these blocks and beliefs and behaviors and patterns of once upon a time kept us safe in our childhood. So for example, if you experienced some form of rejection or abandonment, and you might not even consciously remember this as a child, and it may not be physical, literal abandonment. It could be perceived abandonment, like a parent going away for work for a few days. It could be that you were in the hospital for a while. It could be a parental divorce. Anything where a child thinks that this parent has left them, has abandoned them. Now we're holding on to this subconscious belief that we're going to be abandonment. The wound is present. And when we are in relationship with another, where they don't respond to our messages and they are going away for a couple of days, there may be some perceived abandonment present, which activates that wound within us. And as a result, we want to keep ourselves safe. So we may then display some sabotaging behavior, such as incessantly calling and messaging them, or testing their love in some way, or just making up stories and narratives about something within the relationship that you think is going to lead to them leaving you eventually, because maybe you don't feel worthy of this love, or maybe you're holding a belief that everyone leaves eventually anyway. So what's the point in holding on to hope that this one is going to stick? Now, sabotaging behavior can be pretty much anything that is causing friction in the relationship and causing disconnect. So from an anxious attachment perspective, it could be something like picking fights and bickering because you're wanting validation and reassurance because you're feeling insecure in that moment. Or you might be testing their love because you don't believe that they're going to stay, that this is fleeting. Maybe you've had those past experiences before. It may be catastrophizing, assuming the worst, thinking that they are going to leave you eventually, or that they are rejecting you, or that they are judging you or dismissing you, and going straight to that, but what if this isn't going to work? What if they are going to leave me? Instead of weighing up the other side of the coin, which is, what if it does work? What if they do actually love me? Because maybe we just don't believe it to be true. So we need to then test them in some way. It could be hypervigilance, reading into everything, like looking at their social media, looking at what they're doing when they're not with you, with their friends, like looking at their body language, their mood shifts, constantly being hypervigilant. Again, going back to that fear of abandonment and rejection. And then the behavior could be that we accuse them of something, we get jealous, and we are a reactive emotional reaction as opposed to a more logical response. Okay, let me see if I can bring this up and talk to them about it. It could be on the other end of the spectrum of lying, cheating, betrayal. It could be, that could also be seen as sabotaging behavior, because I'm not going to go into the whole psychology of cheating right now, but the thing is about cheating or any type of betrayal is that 95% of the time it's never about you. It's always about them, and there is something within them that is causing this behavior to happen. Something within you is causing this behavior to happen, and it can stem from a fear of abandonment, rejection. For avoidance, it could be a fear of entrapment, being suffocated in a relationship, not having their freedom. So then they go and do certain behaviors like talking to other people or taking up too much space and not communicating that, because their sole purpose is to be able to give themselves a sense of freedom if they are feeling that way within the relationship. Now, before we get into the repair section, a little bit about why this sabotaging behavior is showing up in the first place. Because like I said, we don't want a relationship that's full of ups and downs, breakups and makeups and roundabouts and roller coasters. It's exhausting. Push and pulls, picking fights, bickering. But then we see this being present in our relationship and we're like, what the hell? And how can I stop this? Now, it could be coming from a space of feeling unfamiliar in a healthy relationship. It could feel boring even, and we need to shake things up subconsciously by causing a little bit of drama. If we are used to chaos or emotional unavailability in our childhood, then stability is going to feel, like I said, unfamiliar. And our subconscious brain has not yet made that connection between stability and love. And you might notice yourself waiting for something to go wrong. And then the result is that we actually become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because our subconscious brain is not yet met with the conscious brain of what we want. There is cognitive dissonance there, and it's by working with the beliefs and the wounds that we hold within that we can be able to bring those two parts of our brains together so we feel balanced and content and safe and at peace, as opposed to feeling anxious and that something is going to happen and that we just don't feel settled in our relationship. It could be an addiction to that cortisol that floods our body when we are anxious or when we are fighting with our partner or when there is bickering happen. It's like this stimulating chemical that gets pumped into our body that is highly addictive, and it can come like a form of excitement, these makeups and breakups that we go to, and we just don't know how to stop them because now it's become a chemical addiction. Or maybe you're sabotaging yourself in a dating space where you're picking flaws and you're being hyper vigilant of all the little things that could go wrong with the dates, or you're getting the ick all too often, and you're finding reasons why this person is not your person. You don't want another date with them. This is why you shouldn't go on a date at all. Even though they're nice, they're showing up, it feels a bit meh. And you might say things like, I'm just not feeling it, I'm not attracted to nice guys. Or if you are in that relationship, like, I think I've fallen out of love. So this is a type of sabotaging from fear of intimacy. We can see this with avoidance, fearful avoidance, but also anxious people as well that have been burnt in the past. And again, this is all protective mechanism that we have put into place to protect us from any further pain or hurt. So it's all about getting curious as to how this sabotaging behavior is coming up. So that's the the first and best way to stop the sabotage is to become aware and recognize that it's actually happening, whether you're dating or in the relationship, and really get curious about what could be in the driving seat here. Is it that you are fearful of them eventually leaving you? Is it a worthiness issue that you don't feel worthy of receiving this love? Do you not believe that you're ever going to find a person who's going to be compatible with you? And then also work on understanding your nervous system and the triggers that put you in this emotional state. So start to recognize the body signs of sabotage coming up. So maybe you will feel a sensation in your gut. This is my personal journey. I would feel it in my gut. My temperature would rise. I would start having very fearful thoughts. I would start overthinking. I would become hypervigilant. That's when I know that I'm activated and I'm now in an activated response in my nervous system. I know that whatever I say and do in this space is not going to have a good result. So I need to take myself away or communicate what's happening with me to my partner so I can downregulate and come back into a space of feeling calm. And I'm sure we've all had experiences where we've lashed out, we've been reactive in some way, we've said something we didn't mean, and then later on, when we've had a chance to calm down, we're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, damn it. Now what's going to happen? And then more fear and anxiety is created because sometimes we, more often, especially with a fear of abandonment, and if we're not showing up as this perfect person that we are shaming ourselves to be in relationships, we think they're going to leave. We think that we're too much, we're too dramatic, we're too sensitive, we're too whatever, or not enough of this, and this person's going to eventually leave. And this is what I thought in my own experience. I thought the sabotaging behavior itself is going to cause disconnect, is going to cause them to leave. But actually, what I noticed was it wasn't the sabotage that destroyed the relationship, it was the lack of repair. Now, when I say this, what I mean is, of course, the sabotage is always something that is playing a role in any disconnection and friction in a relationship. But I wasn't prepared to repair. And that's what caused deeper disconnection and disrepair of the relationship. Because I would sabotage, and then he would want to talk about it and get curious about it. And I would say things like, oh, like, I'm always the problem and you don't even care how I feel, or can we just move on already because I just don't want to go through it again. It's too uncomfortable. Can we just stop talking about it? Because every time you talk about it, I'm going deeper and deeper into shame and feeling really, really uncomfortable in myself, in my body, because I'm already beating myself to a pulp for what I did. But I don't have the space to be vulnerable to share that with him because I'm so focused on getting back to being that perfect person, that perfect partner that I want to be. And I just want to erase the whole thing. But this is the thing, it doesn't get erased. By dismissing him and playing victim, I was making it all about me. And now he was having to step into that role of like, okay, let me try and understand what's going on. And really, he was now dismissing his own feelings and what he needed in that space. Or I would turn it on him. I would blame him. Why, if you didn't do that, then I wouldn't get triggered. Why do you always make me feel this way? You don't even care about how this is making me feel. Oh, I bet you're happier when I'm not around. These are all things that I have said. And so now I am so uncomfortable with my own behavior that I'm deflecting. It feels more comfortable to shift the blame onto him because maybe I don't believe that I have the capacity to change or do anything about this. And if I can make him change in some way so I'm less triggered, then the problem will be solved. So these common insecure reactions of defensiveness, dismissiveness, victimhood, passive aggressiveness, these are all things that are going to deepen the disconnect and the disrepair of a relationship. I'm interrupting this episode to ask you a question. Have you taken our relationship archetype quiz yet? If you haven't and you want to know more about your attachment style, this is the quiz for you. All you have to do is answer 10 simple questions, and that will take you to your result to find out what archetype you are, whether you're the mountain, the wind, the sun, or the ocean. So to get started for free, click the link in the show notes below, and don't forget to let me know what archetype you are as well. All right, let's get back to the episode. So let's turn this a little bit on the other way, where if you have a partner that has done something to cause disconnect and friction in the relationship, and they are behaving this way, where they're being very dismissive, or they're putting it back on you, or maybe they're trying their best, but they're saying things like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to go to counseling because I don't feel the need to. I just want things to go back to normal. Or they can't even give you an explanation as to why this sabotaging behavior even happened in the first place. This is going to put you in a space of not being able to process what has happened. And what I normally see, especially with anxiously attached individuals, they will do their best to not bring it up anymore, to move on, to ignore it, to just put on a smile again and hope that everything is just going to be okay. But I promise you, somewhere down the line, it's going to bleed into the relationship, because you and your partner have not processed what has happened. You have not gone into this space of repair. It's going to show up again eventually, either through another trigger, or you are going to be now in a space where you are constantly triggered and afraid and fearful that is going to happen again. And that is not a great space to be in a relationship that you once felt safe and free and adored in, and now is just full of insecurity and doubt and fear. So this is why repair is so important, regardless of what end of the relationship you're on. Now, right off the bat, what I'm going to say about relationship repair is that it's not easy. If you identify with having an anxious attachment style, avoidant, or fearful avoidant, so much of your triggers and wounds and beliefs are going to be activated during this time. This is why it is so important to do this inner work on yourself, so you can enter into a space of being able to sit with your partner, not take things personally, not get defensive, be able to stay in that calm state where you can hear them out, you can listen to what they are experiencing. Maybe it's pain that you have caused them, without wanting to get defensive or run out of the room or completely shut down because you are so shameful for the pain and hurt that you have caused someone you love. So that's why doing this inner work is so important. I would not be able to consciously and calmly repair and resolve conflict with my partner if I didn't get curious about what was underneath this crazy defensiveness that was showing up and protecting me in that moment. Even though there was no danger, I just couldn't hear how my behavior was making him feel. It was so uncomfortable, and I didn't know how to sit with it. So doing your own inner work is so crucial. And also coming together with your partner to be able to be in a space of repairing after sabotaging behavior. Now, what I will say is doing this type of work with a counselor, a coach, a therapist is a lot easier, quicker, more manageable, because you are being guided. You are being guided through the process. You are being supported in regulating emotions when things get a bit heated. And you are also being encouraged to give the space to your partner to express, but also have the space to express and have your partner listen and just be guided through the whole process of working things out. But here are some tips and ways that you can do some repair with each other, maybe with the minor things of what has happened, and you could get used to this framework that I'm about to share with you. Start with the minor things, and the major things maybe consider going to counseling or therapy. You can also use this framework with the major things as well, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm just being really honest with you guys from personal experience. All right, let's get into it. So, this is a 4-step process of effective repair that you can apply. So, first of all, call out the sabotage. See it as something that is separate from you. This is sabotaging behavior. This is not who you are at your core. This is not your identity. You are now not a bad person because of what you have done or what your partner has done. This is behavior that is showing up for a reason. Call it out. And it could be something like, I realized that I said what I said because I was feeling insecure. I was feeling jealous. And I regret saying that. Number 2, acknowledge your partner's feelings. Validate them. Acknowledge them. Don't dismiss them. Don't throw them back in their face because it's uncomfortable to say that you have caused hurt. So how this could go is like, I realized I said that because I was feeling insecure and jealous, and I regret it because I can see how much it has hurt you. And I am so sorry. Just acknowledging and validating is so, so powerful. Number 3, express how you truly feel. Even express in a vulnerable way, maybe why this has even happened. If you are able to do that, if you are even aware as to why that happened. This could look like, I was just feeling really scared that you were going to leave me for that person. So instead of coming to you and saying this, I acted out. I shouted at you. I tested your love in this way. And then the 4th one is to commit to repairing together. So this is now you've taken responsibility, you've shown accountability, you have acknowledged and validated, you have not given an excuse. There's a difference between excusing your behavior and offering a reason as to why this has happened in the first place. Because when we offer an excuse, there's no plan for repair afterwards. Instead, it's like, that I feel like this because I'm anxious. That's an excuse. A reason is, I acted this way because I was feeling very anxious in the moment, and I regret that. I want to make things right. I want to get better at doing this. I'm going to commit to doing the work on myself, but how can we come together to move on from this? I want to rebuild trust. I want us to be able to go out together without me feeling jealous. How can we do that? What would make you feel more safe if we're out? So you're working together, you're using connective languages and getting curious about their experience and what they feel like they need, or any suggestions that they may have in order to reduce the sabotaging behavior. So to summarize this, to getting to that state of repair, there needs to be 3 things. And I'm stealing this from the Gottmans, John and Julie Gottman. They say there needs to be 3 things present when we are repairing from any type of betrayal or sabotage in a relationship. And that is atonement, taking responsibility, owning up to the behavior, to the hurt that has been caused, attunement, getting back into attunement with your partner, understanding how it's made them feel, validating and acknowledging it, also sharing from a vulnerable space how you're feeling, what's your experience, so you're attuning with each other. There's a willingness there to come together and hear each other out, to understand what's happening for both parties. And then the 3rd one is attachment. The behavior may have caused distrust in some way, especially if it's a betrayal, especially if there has been a lot of pain caused. Maybe I don't trust you now to be able to do this thing or have this thing because of what has happened. How can we rebuild trust together? By working on forming attachment again. And this is when a lot of coming together, having those conversations, being able to be present with them all, being able to connect, build that connection back up, whatever that looks like. And it may take time. It's going to take time. Let me remove that may. It's going to take time and patience and willingness to show up for each other. As soon as one person is not willing and they've checked out, that's causing even more disconnect. I was not willing to come to a space of repairing the relationship because I didn't know how to. I didn't have the capacity. My attachment wounds were very much in the way. And because of that, what my partner did was try to ignore it, try to move on, but it built up like dust under a rug. Before long, he just couldn't take it anymore. So it wasn't the sabotage itself, it was the lack of repair. Because we can cause a disruption, but as long as there is repair, there is hope. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you. If you need any further support in anything that we talked about in this episode, don't hesitate to reach out to me and we can have a chat in the DMs on Instagram or on the website. You can contact me through there as well with any questions, any reflections that you may have. But I hope this was really helpful in supporting you to integrate a framework of repair in your own relationships. Until next time, my loves, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.